The underestimation. In a grand chamber high above the planet, the leaders of the Galactic Empire gathered. The walls were lined with screens showing vast star maps, imperial insignias, and images of planets under their rule. The air was thick with arrogance as they discussed the threat posed by Earth. "Look at this planet," General Varon said, his voice booming with disdain. "A bunch of filthy animals. They can barely take care of their own world, let alone challenge us." He waved his hand dismissively as laughter echoed around the room. Admiral Chris, sitting at the far end of the table, smirked. "They think they are clever with their primitive technology. Have you seen their ships? Rusty old boats compared to our mighty war fleets." The room erupted with laughter again. As the mocking continued, no one noticed a young officer named Lieutenant Mira, who stood quietly at the back. She had recently returned from Earth and had seen things that unsettled her. She had witnessed the fierce spirit of humanity and their unyielding determination. But her voice trembled as she spoke up. "Sirs, I think we should take them seriously. They have made advancements in technology that we do not understand." The room fell silent, and all eyes turned to her. The leaders exchanged glances, then burst into laughter once more. "You see," Admiral Chris sneered, "even their own officers doubt their strength." What a joke. Mira felt her cheeks burn, but she stood firm. "Admiral, I'm serious. They have developed stealth technology that is beyond our current understanding. We shouldn't dismiss them." General Varon leaned back in his chair, clearly amused. "Lieutenant, you're too young and inexperienced. Trust us, the Empire knows how to handle filthy animals like them." As the meeting continued, Mira's heart sank. She knew that Earth was working on something incredible, something that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. But the Empire was blinded by arrogance. Meanwhile, on Earth, a secret military unit was hard at work. In a hidden facility, deep in the mountains, scientists and engineers were putting the finishing touches on a fleet of advanced stealth ships. Captain Emily Chen stood at the center of the control room, watching the screens with keen eyes. She had dedicated her life to protecting Earth from any threats, and today, she was ready to unveil the fleet. "Team, we have worked hard for this moment," she said, her voice steady and filled with determination. "The Galactic Empire thinks they can mock us, but we will show them the true strength of humanity." The room filled with murmurs of agreement. The engineers, pilots, and soldiers nodded, ready for the challenge ahead. As the team prepared for the first test flight, Captain Chen reviewed the mission plan. "We will launch at midnight, using the cover of darkness to our advantage. The Empire will never see us coming." Excitement and nervousness filled the room. The crew understood the gravity of their task. They had to prove their worth against a powerful adversary. Back in the Galactic Empire, the leaders were still laughing about the insignificant Earth. They were confident in their superiority and did not consider the possibility of defeat. As they reviewed reports of Earth's past failures, their laughter echoed in the vast chamber, masking their ignorance. "Mira, are you sure about this?" one of her fellow officers asked, concern etched on his face. "I mean, what if they really are just as weak as we think?" "I know what I saw," Mira insisted. "They are stronger than you realize. We should prepare for the unexpected." But her words fell on deaf ears. The Empire was set in its beliefs, and Mira could only watch in frustration. She felt a growing sense of urgency. She needed to find a way to warn them about the true potential of Earth. Meanwhile, Captain Chen's crew was taking their positions, excitement buzzing through the air. They boarded the sleek, black ships, which blended perfectly with the night sky. Each ship was equipped with technology that allowed them to become almost invisible to sensors. As the countdown began, the crew felt a mix of fear and excitement. They knew they were about to make history. "This is our moment," Captain Chen declared. "Let's show them what we're made of." The ships launched into the night, gliding silently into the stars. As they left Earth's atmosphere, the crew felt a rush of adrenaline. They were on a mission to prove that humanity was more than just an afterthought in the eyes of the Galactic Empire. Back in the Empire, the leaders continued their discussions, blissfully unaware of the storm approaching them. Mira felt a knot tighten in her stomach, realizing they were about to learn a harsh lesson in humility. The Earth fleet moved like shadows among the stars, hidden from the Empire's watchful eyes. The time for underestimation was over. As they approached their first target, a small outpost on the edge of Imperial space, the crew prepared for what could be the fight of their lives. Captain Chen glanced at her crew, determination burning in her eyes. "Ready?" she asked. They nodded, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. "Let's show them that we are not just filthy animals," she said. "We are humans, and we will fight for our place among the stars." With that, the fleet surged forward, leaving behind the laughter of the Galactic Empire and entering the unknown, ready to make their mark on history. The shock was about to begin, and the galaxy would never forget the power of humanity. First strike. As the Earth stealth fleet neared its target, Captain Chen and her team maintained complete radio silence. The Galactic Empire's outpost loomed ahead, a vast structure of metal and stone hovering above a barren planet. To the Empire, this outpost was just another checkpoint, insignificant in the grand scheme of their dominance. But to humanity, it was the perfect place to test their new fleet and send a message. Inside the lead stealth ship, the control room was dimly lit, filled only with the hum of advanced technology. The crew sat silently, focused on their screens, their movements calculated and precise. They could feel the tension in the air as they prepared for their first strike. Each member knew the weight of their mission. They were not only proving the effectiveness of their technology, but also the strength of their entire species. Captain Chen stood at the helm, her eyes scanning the holographic display in front of her. The outpost was heavily fortified, with defense systems that could obliterate most enemy ships in seconds. But the stealth fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. It moved through space undetected, a ghost in the void. Captain Chen had faith in her team, and in the technology they had worked so hard to perfect. Approaching target, one of the officers whispered, his voice barely audible in the quiet room. "Maintain stealth," Captain Chen ordered. "No one is to engage until I give the command." As the fleet drew closer, the outpost's massive defense cannons remained idle. The Empire had no reason to be on alert. After all, who would dare attack them? They had grown complacent, their arrogance blinding them to the possibility of danger. Inside the outpost, Imperial officers moved about their duties with casual disinterest. To them, this was just another day, another routine. They had no idea that a human fleet was watching them from the shadows, preparing to strike. One officer, a young lieutenant, glanced out the window, his eyes scanning the stars. He frowned, sensing something was off but unable to pinpoint it. "Something wrong, Lieutenant?" his superior asked, noticing the young officer's hesitation. "I'm not sure, sir," the lieutenant replied. "It's probably nothing." The outpost continued its operations, oblivious to the threat that had slipped through its defenses. The Galactic Empire had never encountered technology like Earth's stealth ships. They had underestimated humanity once again. Back aboard the lead ship, Captain Chen took a deep breath. This was it, the moment they had been waiting for. She glanced at her crew, all of whom were waiting for her command, their faces tense with anticipation. "Activate weapons systems," she ordered quietly. The stealth ship's weapons came online, their power humming through the hulls. The fleet was armed with advanced pulse cannons capable of delivering devastating blows, and yet the ships remained invisible to the Empire's sensors. "Targets locked," an officer confirmed. Captain Chen nodded. "On my mark, fire." Seconds stretched into what felt like minutes as the crew braced for the command. Then, with a calm and steady voice, Captain Chen gave the order. "Fire." The silence of space was shattered as the Earth fleet unleashed its fury. Pulse cannons roared to life, beams of energy streaking across the stars and slamming into the outpost's defenses. The Empire's shields flickered and crumbled under the sheer power of the attack. Explosions rippled across the structure, tearing through metal and sending debris flying in all directions. Inside the outpost, chaos erupted. Alarms blared as officers scrambled to respond. The young lieutenant who had sensed something earlier was now shouting orders, trying to make sense of the sudden assault. "We're under attack. Where are they coming from?" he yelled, his voice drowned out by the noise. But it was too late. The stealth fleet moved like phantoms, attacking from multiple angles, their ships appearing and disappearing in the blink of an eye. The outpost's defenses were overwhelmed, unable to track or target the invisible threat. Back on the lead ship, Captain Chen watched the battle unfold on her display. Her team's precision and coordination were flawless. The Galactic Empire had never anticipated that a force from Earth could be this advanced, and now they were paying the price for their arrogance. "Status report," Captain Chen asked. "The outpost's defenses are down," one of the officers replied. "They're completely vulnerable." Captain Chen nodded, satisfaction creeping into her voice. "Good. Let's finish this." With a final barrage of energy pulses, the Earth fleet delivered the finishing blow. The outpost's core exploded in a brilliant flash of light, and the structure crumbled into the void of space. The Galactic Empire had lost one of its key outposts, and they still had no idea who had attacked them. As the Earth fleet disengaged and disappeared back into the stars, Captain Chen allowed herself a small smile. This was just the beginning. Humanity had struck the first blow, and the Empire had been caught off guard. But Captain Chen knew that the real challenge lay ahead. The Empire would soon realize what had happened, and when they did, they would come for Earth with everything they had. But Captain Chen wasn't afraid. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing against the might of the Galactic Empire, and now they had the tools to fight back. "Mission accomplished," she said quietly. "Let's head home." With that, the stealth fleet disappeared into the darkness, leaving behind only the wreckage of the Empire's arrogance. The shockwave of the attack would soon reach the Empire's core, and they would learn that Earth was not to be underestimated. "You said 3. Them to the capabilities of the humans they deemed inferior." The lead ship, SS Vigilant, inched forward, its hull shimmering with advanced cloaking technology. The crew worked in harmony, each member aware of their role in this crucial operation. They were a mix of veterans and new recruits, but together they had become a well-oiled machine. Each soldier felt a surge of pride, knowing they were part of something larger than themselves, something that could change how the galaxy viewed Earth and its people. As they reached the edge of the outpost's detection range, Captain Chen made a decision. "Launch the drones," she said firmly. With a nod, the tech officer activated the drones designed to gather intelligence and create distractions. They floated silently into the void, their cameras capturing every detail of the outpost's defenses. The crew watched as the drones deployed, their small frames disappearing into the dark. The outpost's systems detected nothing. They were still blissfully unaware. Captain Chen felt her heart race. This was the moment they had trained for, and now they were on the brink of proving humanity's strength. "Drones are in position," the tech officer reported. "We're ready to commence the operation." "Excellent," Captain Chen replied. "Prepare the plasma torpedoes. We'll hit their power grid first." The crew sprang into action. The torpedoes were primed and ready to go, aimed at the heart of the outpost's power supply. Captain Chen's mind raced as she calculated the timing. They needed to strike hard and fast to maximize the element of surprise. "On my mark," she said, her voice steady but laced with adrenaline. 3, 2, 1. Fire. The room erupted in a flurry of activity as the plasma torpedoes launched from the stealth fleet. They shot through space like bolts of lightning, striking the outpost with explosive force. Alarms blared suddenly, piercing the calm of the control room. The Empire's arrogance shattered in an instant as they realized they were under attack. From the SS Vigilant, the crew watched in awe as the outpost erupted in flames. Their first strike was a success, and they could hardly believe the power they held. But the Empire would not take this lightly. Within moments, the defenses were firing back, their weapons lighting up the dark void of space. "Shields up!" Captain Chen shouted, her voice booming over the chaos. The ship's shields activated, glowing as the enemy fire struck. The crew felt the impact of the blasts but remained focused. This was their moment to shine. The outpost retaliated with fury, but the humans had anticipated this. The stealth fleet maneuvered with agility, evading incoming fire. They were fast, darting around the outpost like shadows. The Galactic Empire was used to a predictable battlefield, and their confusion worked to the humans' advantage. "Reinforcements are on their way," the tactical officer warned. "We need to make this count." "Let's disable their communications," Captain Chen ordered. "We can't let them call for help." With a flick of her wrist, she activated another wave of torpedoes aimed at the communication arrays. The crew watched as the missiles sped toward their target, and their hearts raced. This strike would cripple the Empire's ability to respond. Impact in 3, 2, 1. The explosion lit up the void, sending debris spiraling into space. The outpost's communications were silenced, and the humans felt a surge of triumph. They were winning, and their courage was becoming undeniable. "This is just the beginning," Captain Chen thought, her eyes narrowing with determination. They will see that humans are not to be underestimated. As the battle raged on, the Galactic Empire's soldiers scrambled to defend their position, but confusion reigned. The humans had turned the tables, and for the first time, they were fighting back. The underestimation of humanity had led to chaos, and Captain Chen knew they had to keep the pressure on. "Prepare for another strike," she commanded. "Let's show them what we're made of." The crew rallied around her, their spirits lifted by their success. They were no longer the underdogs. They were warriors ready to claim their place in the galaxy. As they launched another wave of attacks, the SS Vigilant became a symbol of human strength, resilience, and ingenuity. The Galactic Empire had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated Earth, and now they would pay the price. The battle was just beginning, and Captain Chen was determined to show the universe that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. Captain Chen's determination ignited a fire within her crew. They were more than soldiers now. They were a force that could change the course of history. As the SS Vigilant soared through the chaos of the battle, they felt the thrill of their newfound power. The Galactic Empire's forces, once confident in their dominance, were now scrambling in disarray. The crew of the SS Vigilant worked seamlessly together, each member focused on their specific tasks. The helmsman skillfully maneuvered the ship through enemy fire, weaving in and out of the streams of plasma bolts. The tactical officer continued to monitor the enemy's movements, ready to advise Captain Chen on the next strategic move. The atmosphere inside the ship was electric. They were no longer the quiet, underestimated humans, but fierce warriors determined to prove their worth. "Captain, their shields are down to 50%, shouted the tactical officer, eyes glued to the holographic display of the battlefield. The outpost, once a symbol of the Empire's might, was now visibly damaged, and Captain Chen knew they needed to strike hard and fast. "Good. Let's take out their weapon systems next," she replied, her voice steady, but filled with excitement. "Target their artillery." With a swift motion, she activated another wave of torpedoes. The crew held their breath as the missiles hurtled toward their target. The sight of the torpedoes slicing through space was exhilarating. The ship shook as the weapons detonated, sending shrapnel flying. The outpost's defenses faltered, and for a brief moment, silence fell across the control room of the SS Vigilant. They could feel it, the turning point in the battle. Captain Chen allowed herself a small smile, but she knew better than to celebrate too soon. They still had a long way to go. "Captain, we're detecting incoming ships," the sensor officer exclaimed, breaking the momentary silence. "Reinforcements from the Galactic Empire." Captain Chen's heart sank momentarily. But she quickly steeled herself. How many? 2 cruisers, heavily armed, came the response. They're approaching fast. Prepare for evasive maneuvers, she ordered. We're not done yet. The crews sprang into action, adrenaline pumping through their veins. The helmsman expertly navigated the ship, darting away from the approaching cruisers, while the tactical officer plotted their next move. We can't let them regroup, Captain Chen said. Determination set in her eyes. We have to take them out before they can join forces with the outpost. As the cruisers entered firing range, the SS Vigilant targeted them with all its might. Plasma bolts and missiles exchanged across the expanse of space, creating a chaotic dance of light and destruction. The crew worked tirelessly, their focus unbroken as they fired back at the incoming ships. Return fire, Captain Chen commanded, her voice booming over the sound of explosions. Let's show them our strength. The SS Vigilant shook as enemy fire hit its shields, but the crew remained unyielding. They had faced overwhelming odds before, and they were ready to face them again. With every blast fired, they felt the tide turning in their favor. Cruiser 1 is taking damage, the tactical officer reported, excitement threading through his voice. Their shields are down. Target their engines, Captain Chen ordered. We need to immobilize them. The SS Vigilant unleashed another wave of plasma bolts, striking the first cruiser and sending it into a tailspin. The sight of the enemy ship spiraling helplessly in space filled the crew with a sense of triumph. The second cruiser, realizing its ally was in danger, began to turn toward the SS Vigilant. Captain Chen could see the fear in their movements. They were no longer the hunters. They had become the hunted. Keep firing, she shouted, her heart racing. Don't give them a chance to recover. The battle raged on, and the SS Vigilant continued to press their advantage. With each successful strike, the crew's confidence soared. They had come so far from being underestimated. They were now proving their worth and strength on the galactic stage. Captain, the first cruiser is disabled, the tactical officer announced, his voice filled with excitement. They're drifting. Good. Focus all fire on the second cruiser, Captain Chen commanded. Let's end this. The crew rallied, pouring every ounce of their energy into the fight. As the second cruiser attempted to flee, the SS Vigilant was relentless, striking with precision. The overwhelming firepower sent shockwaves through the enemy ship. Direct hit. They're taking damage, the tactical officer shouted, his eyes wide with exhilaration. In that moment, Captain Chen felt a rush of pride. They were no longer the underdogs. They were becoming legends. The Galactic Empire had underestimated humanity, and they were about to learn a valuable lesson. Finish it, she ordered, and the crew cheered as the final shots were fired. The second cruiser exploded in a dazzling display of light, a testament to the human spirit and resilience. As the remnants of the cruisers floated in the cold darkness of space, the SS Vigilant crew took a moment to breathe. They had done it. They had fought against impossible odds and emerged victorious. But Captain Chen knew this was only the beginning. They had sent a message to the galaxy, and she would ensure that it was heard loud and clear. Humanity was not to be underestimated. They were fierce, resilient, and ready to defend their place in the stars. We'll regroup and prepare for the next phase, Captain Chen said, determination shining in her eyes. Let's show the galaxy what humans are made of. As the battle raged on, the crew of the SS Vigilant found themselves riding a wave of adrenaline and triumph. The Galactic Empire had expected easy victories against the filthy animals, but the humans were proving them wrong at every turn. The destruction of the enemy cruisers was only the beginning, and Captain Chen was determined to show them just how powerful humanity could be. Captain, we're receiving a message from the Galactic Empire, the communications officer announced, her fingers dancing over the controls. They're demanding our surrender. Captain Chen couldn't help but chuckle. They really think we'll give up after this? No way. She turned to her crew, their faces illuminated by the flickering screens filled with chaos. Let's show them what happens when they underestimate us. The bridge erupted with cheers, each member of the crew fueled by a newfound sense of purpose. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for respect and recognition. Humanity had always been dismissed as weak, and now it was their time to prove the galaxy wrong. Helm, plot a course toward their remaining fleet, Captain Chen commanded, her eyes narrowing with determination. We're going to give them a taste of our strength. The helmsman nodded and quickly set the course, engaging FTL drive. The ship shook slightly as the SS Vigilant leaped into faster-than-light travel. In a matter of seconds, they emerged on the outskirts of the Galactic Empire's remaining fleet. The sight before them was staggering. The once confident armada now appeared disorganized and vulnerable. "Look at them," one crew member whispered, a mix of disbelief and excitement in their voice. "They're scared." "Good," Captain Chen replied, her voice steady. "They should be." As they approached the enemy fleet, Captain Chen could see the hesitation in their movements. The Galactic Empire had not expected a counterattack from the humans, let alone a decisive victory. She felt the weight of their eyes upon her. They were no longer the underdogs. They were a force to be reckoned with. "Prepare to engage," she ordered. "Focus fire on their command ship. If we take it out, the rest will crumble." The crew quickly moved into action, their hearts pounding with anticipation. Captain Chen could feel the excitement coursing through the ship. They were ready to fight. Firing weapons, the tactical officer shouted, and the SS Vigilant unleashed a barrage of plasma bolts toward the command ship. The crew watched as the bolts collided with the enemy ship, lighting up the darkness of space. "Direct hit," the tactical officer exclaimed, his face illuminated by the flashing lights on the control panel. "Shields are down to 40%. Keep the pressure on," Captain Chen commanded. "We can't let them recover." As the SS Vigilant continued to fire upon the command ship, the Galactic Empire's forces began to falter. The once mighty fleet was now scrambling to regroup, their confidence shattered. Captain Chen's eyes sparkled with determination. This was their moment to shine. "Captain, we're receiving more ships approaching from the enemy's rear," the sensor officer shouted, excitement mingling with urgency. "They're trying to flank us." "Not on my watch," Captain Chen replied, her voice resolute. "Helm, move us to intercept. We can't let them get behind us." The helmsman skillfully maneuvered the SS Vigilant, turning the ship to face the incoming threat. The crew worked in perfect harmony, firing at the approaching ships while keeping their focus on the command ship. "Keep firing at the command ship," Captain Chen yelled, adrenaline pumping through her veins. "Let's end this." The SS Vigilant's weapons blazed to life, and the crew cheered as they watched their shots find their mark. The command ship trembled under the onslaught, and Captain Chen felt a surge of pride wash over her. "Shields down to 20%. The tactical officer called out, excitement threading through his voice. "We're wearing them down." "Almost there," Captain Chen shouted, her eyes glued to the screen. "Just a little more." With one final push, the crew of the SS Vigilant unleashed a concentrated barrage of firepower at the command ship. The enemy vessel shuddered violently, and then, with a brilliant flash of light, it exploded in a spectacular display of energy. Cheers erupted throughout the ship as the crew celebrated their hard-fought victory. Captain Chen allowed herself a smile, knowing they had proven their strength. "Now let's deal with the rest of the fleet," she commanded, her voice steady. "They'll think twice before underestimating humanity again." As the remaining ships of the Galactic Empire scrambled in panic, Captain Chen and her crew prepared for the final push. They had come too far to back down now. "Together, we are strong," Captain Chen said, her heart filled with determination. "We will not be silenced or dismissed. Let's finish this." With a renewed sense of purpose, the SS Vigilant charged forward, ready to face the remnants of the Galactic Empire's forces. This was their time, and they would not let it slip away. They were humans, and they were here to stay. As the battle continued to rage on, the SS Vigilant had become a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. Captain Chen and her crew had successfully shattered the Galactic Empire's confidence, proving that humanity was more than just a footnote in the galaxy's history. But while the thrill of victory buzzed through the ship, a new challenge loomed on the horizon. "Captain, we've intercepted a distress signal from a nearby colony," the communications officer reported, her brow furrowed with concern. "It's coming from New Haven. They're being attacked by Imperial forces." Captain Chen felt a pang of urgency. New Haven was one of Earth's first colonies, home to thousands of civilians. "Can we provide support?" she asked, her heart racing. "Not with the remaining fleet still regrouping," the tactical officer replied. "We're outnumbered, Captain." But Captain Chen knew they couldn't abandon their fellow humans. "Set a course for New Haven. We can't leave them to fend for themselves," she declared, determination shining in her eyes. "Even if we're outnumbered, we have to try." "Understood," the helmsman responded, inputting the new coordinates. "Engaging FTL drive." As the SS Vigilant jumped into faster-than-light travel, Captain Chen gathered her crew. "Listen up, everyone. We've just proven that we can take down the Empire's ships. We can't let fear dictate our actions. We're going to fight for New Haven, and we will show them that humanity does not back down." The crew exchanged determined glances, the adrenaline of the previous battle still fresh in their minds. They were ready to take on this new challenge. In moments, the SS Vigilant emerged from FTL travel, and the sight that greeted them was heartbreaking. The once bustling colony of New Haven was in flames, Imperial ships swirling like vultures over the wreckage. Panic erupted in the streets below as civilians fled from the chaos. "Open a channel to New Haven's command center," Captain Chen ordered, her heart heavy with the sight. "We need to know their situation." The screen flickered, and a weary officer appeared, his face smeared with soot and desperation. "SS Vigilant, we're taking heavy fire. We've lost contact with several districts. If you can provide air support, we can regroup and push back." "Hang tight," Captain Chen replied, her voice steady. "We're coming in hot. Prepare to evacuate civilians if we can create a path for you." "Copy that. We're counting on you," the officer exclaimed before the transmission cut off. "Okay, crew, you know the drill." Captain Chen rallied them. "Weapons at the ready. Target the enemy ships first. We'll provide cover for the colony while evacuating civilians. Let's show the Empire that we're not afraid." The crew echoed their agreement, and the atmosphere aboard the SS Vigilant became electric with energy. They were no longer fighting just for survival. They were fighting for their brothers and sisters on New Haven. "Engaging weapons," the tactical officer shouted as they approached the fray. "Focus fire on the Imperial ships targeting the ground," Captain Chen commanded. "We need to clear a path for the evacuation." As the SS Vigilant joined the battle, plasma bolts flew from their cannons, striking enemy ships with precision. The Imperial fleet, still reeling from their earlier defeat, was caught off guard by the humans' tenacity. "Direct hit," the tactical officer exclaimed, excitement bubbling in his voice. "They're breaking formation. Keep it up. We need to maintain pressure," Captain Chen urged, her eyes locked on the screen. With each enemy ship that fell, hope began to rise among the defenders on the ground. The tide was turning, and the Imperial forces were faltering. Suddenly, a frantic voice came through the communication system. "Vigilant, we're being overrun. We can't hold them off much longer." Captain Chen felt a surge of urgency. "We need to help them. Tactical, target those ground forces attacking the command center." "Yes, Captain." The tactical officer responded, locking onto the incoming enemy troops. The SS Vigilant's weapons roared to life, targeting the advancing Imperial troops. Plasma bolts rained down, creating a barrier of protection around the command center. "Evacuate those civilians. Get them to the docks," Captain Chen commanded, her heart racing as she saw small transports struggling to take off amidst the chaos. As the enemy forces fell back, the defenders rallied, gaining strength from the humans' unexpected support. Captain Chen watched as the New Haven troops began to push forward, taking back territory that had been lost. "Hold the line," a voice shouted from the ground, and Captain Chen felt a surge of pride as she witnessed the strength of humanity on display. Just then, a transmission came through from the command center. "Vigilant, we're launching our remaining ships to assist. Together, we can turn the tide." "Let's do this," Captain Chen shouted, her voice carrying through the ship. "All crew, focus fire on the remaining enemy forces. We're not letting them escape." As the SS Vigilant and the New Haven fleet coordinated their attack, the battle became a beautiful dance of strategy and bravery. Each plasma bolt that struck an enemy ship brought renewed hope, and soon the tide turned completely. With one final push, the last of the Imperial ships surrendered, leaving the skies above New Haven clear for the first time in days. Cheers erupted aboard the SS Vigilant, and Captain Chen felt a swell of triumph. "Excellent work, everyone," she said, her voice filled with pride. "We've saved New Haven today, and we've shown the Galactic Empire that humanity will not be underestimated." As the crew celebrated, Captain Chen knew this was only the beginning. The Empire had learned a valuable lesson, but humanity still had a long fight ahead. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united as one force.